Hello everyone, this is Marcel here. I wanted to talk today a little bit about some experiences that I've had and the way that I study people while I'm interacting with them. You see, I believe that the best research is done in the field, not in a lab. In a sociological sense, it's best performed by actually interacting with people, not just asking friends or family specific questions under certain circumstances, because they're going to give me answers based upon what they know of me. See, some of my MGTOW brothers in previous videos, when I've interacted with women, accuse me of being a little bit blue pill, chasing tail, or even being an emotional tampon, letting women dump their baggage on me during the day. To give some better context as to why I even do it, before I got my first degree, I did some training in psychology. That was what I originally wanted to study in. You see, deep down, I've always liked to help people, especially with their problems, in a social sense. And psychology seemed like something that if I say the right sequence of words when someone has a problem, I can help them and correct their problem for them with virtually no loss of materials on my part, other than perhaps my time. In the end, I gave it up as a potential career, mostly because I wanted to solve more tangible problems. And there's a great number of people that go to a therapist, it seems, just to talk, just to complain. They're a paid person to complain at. And I got enough of that working in retail where I had to listen to people and their problems, so I got burnt out on it after a while. The part of me that wants to help people, of course, still remains, and a residual effect of what I did learn was a better understanding of the human mind and the ability to kind of segregate people and their drama from myself or my own life. So when I interact with women or others in general, I can kind of wear an emotional condom while I give them advice or suggestions, as well as having a greater tolerance to emotional drama than I think the average person would have. At least that's how I feel about it now. Maybe that wasn't true all the time. When people or women start approaching me with stuff that they're dealing with, it rolls off me fairly easily. It doesn't get stuck. I don't carry it home with me. And that's what most MGTOW are worried about when dealing with that sort of thing. The point is that I find interactions with people very interesting, and the fact that I pay so much attention to them and I try new things and I study them in a respectful sense has led me to have as much knowledge about people and their nature as I do today. Granted, that knowledge is based wholly on my experiences and perception and a little bit of training. A big part of why I still interact with women, and despite my views on how we're being treated by them, allow it to continue in small controlled doses, is the minute that I shut myself out from society, when I stop it entirely, my experience, my knowledge ceases to grow. It will no longer expand along with a continuously growing and evolving society. Until these interactions become toxic or inherently negative, I still see them as a benefit to me, so I allow them to continue for the most part. I just don't do it with the mindset of eventually getting myself a girlfriend out of it. That's not what I'm interested in. So I had one of those experiences worth noting the other day. When I go to work, I drop off my bicycle for storage. And in doing that, I interact with some people there that, work there on a pretty regular basis. One of them happens to be a fairly pretty woman who has a kid. And I've talked to her occasionally as I'm passing by or whenever I drop off my bicycle. Now, I don't go out of my way to flirt with people or to engage in deep conversations at random, but I'll ask her how her day is and how she's doing, and I don't go much further in conversation unless the other person initiates it. My deal is that aside from being kind of a smart aleck, I actually take the time to ask people. You would be amazed to find at how many people walk through their entire day and never get asked the question, "How are you doing?" And how huge of a difference that can make in someone's life just for someone to ask it. Another human being actually cared enough to ask. Or Python, as the case may be. But when she started talking to me and showing a little more interest in conversation, it caught my attention. So one day, as I drop off my bike, I pause and I do my normal, how is your day, what's going on, anything new, talk with her. That lasts about a minute and a half while they put my bike away. When I returned to pick it up later that afternoon, she was still there. And when I saw her, she made it a point to go get my bike for me herself. I was talking to a friend of mine, let's call her Liz, at the time, and before I could even ride away, I noticed that a part of the bike was damaged. It was the front derailleur, and it had been completely smashed in, and the cable was snapped off, it was trashed. Under normal context, I would have gone back over to them and asked what had happened, at the very least to find out if they knew the damage was done. For the sake of the experiment, I decided not to. I took the bike out of view where the girl couldn't see me, and sat down there with Liz and fixed it to where I could get it home safely. The bike itself is not a cheap one, but the part was not expensive, so I wasn't really that worried about it. Where this starts to get interesting is when I came back and dropped the bike off again today. See, that same girl was working as usual, but when I handed her my bike, she paused and looked surprised. She couldn't get her eyes off of the front derailleur. She looks at me and says, "Did you buy a new bicycle?" And I said, "No, I just did some work on it, new grips and stuff." Her eyes seemed almost stuck to that derailleur, with a look of confusion on her face. Obviously, this woman was aware that the damage had happened. As to why it was done is a completely another story. I don't know if it was an accident or if it was done intentionally for some reason, and it got me really curious. Now, I don't suspect that she drop-kicked my bike as soon as I walked away and broke it, more so that she took advantage of the situation of knowing that it had been broken to see how I reacted to it, if I just bought a new bike, maybe if I had it repaired by a mechanic or something. But the fact that she asked in that way makes me really think that she had an ulterior motive for asking in the first place. Something along the lines of seeing how resourceful I am or how much income I have available to me. Can I just go buy a new bicycle? When I saw her again later to pick up the bike, I mentioned how I see her there quite a bit. She told me her work schedule. To give you kind of a mental image of this person, her makeup, her hair, her clothes are almost always perfect for a job and location where it's definitely not required. In fact, would it make her day harder? Then the fact that she's making conversation with people and putting the fact that she has a kid up front and implying that there's not a guy there in what is arguably the more expensive businessy side of town, I think that she's fishing for a husband. Or at the very least a boyfriend who'd be willing to help her take care of her kid. And the fact that I'm not engaging, I'm not asking her out, flirting or giving her phone numbers or something, is elevating my market value and maintaining her interest in me even further. The irony is not lost on me that the very fact that I'm not interested in these women is what's drawing them to me for the most part. This one seems to get a little more frustrated every time I just say thank you and walk away without any hint of further interest. But granted, that is just my perception. My questions to you on this topic is, for one, is what I'm doing ethical when it comes to interacting with these people and sharing it? I don't give specifics about them or their names or anything, for example, and I don't lie to them. I don't lead them on or bait them into conversation. I just be myself and then document the results. It's probably fine, but it is something that I'm cognizant of. Furthermore, does the interaction involving women make me disingenuous as a MGTOW? It's not like I'm out there dating them, but at what point do I draw the line? It's my life either way, but I want to be able to keep my content genuine. Also, let me know if micro interactions and my analyzing them is interesting or if they're not. The next video I put out is going to be on fake friends. It's something that's always really pissed me off over the years. I'll get into details in the video. Please share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to hear more, like and subscribe.